something you've been putting off. Maybe you say, someday I'll do that, or when I have more time. Whether the item is a big bucket list item or something smaller like going on a hike, now is the time to start your Say Yes list. And we have the perfect process to help you turn these items into reality. Join thousands of others with our free Say Yes list template at thesayesexperience.com/list. It'll help you stop living in that someday and start making those list items come true today. So download it now at thesayesexperience.com/list. Welcome to the Say Yes Experience podcast, where we inspire you to get out of your comfort zone and into possibility. Our mission at the Say Yes Experience is to empower 10 million people to say yes. If you're new here, welcome. We're thrilled you're here. I'm Jessica Rector. I co-founded the Say Yes Experience with my then 9-year-old son Blaze, based off his idea to let's just say yes to things. I'm one of the top experts on burnout, and companies and conferences hire me to present on mental health, wellness, and burnout prevention. As a #1 best-selling author of 11 books, keynote speaker, and a burnout specialist, I've seen so much with our clients. The Say Yes Experience was started to help you really start living, to do the things that light you up, have more fun, and turn your dreams, or what we call Say Yes list items, into reality. So thank you for investing in yourself and being here. Now let's make it happen. Our guest today, Ginny Gaunt, knows what it's like to get out of a bad relationship, a toxic relationship. And she wanted to go on a path of really finding herself, saying yes to herself, which started off with small steps and led to something so much bigger. And she's going to share how you can do the same. And please help me welcome Ginny Gaunt. Thank you so much for being here, Ginny.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're so excited. I love what you said yes to. So share a little bit about it and what really led up to it.
Okay, so I've said yes to some really big things recently. And without wanting to give a spoiler straight away, that started with actually saying yes to myself. That's where it all started, saying yes in really small ways. So should I start there, or should I go straight in on the big?
No, tell us some examples of what you initially said yes to just in small ways, and kind of what led you to saying yes in those small ways to yourself.
Okay, so I came out of a bad marriage, an abusive marriage, and wasn't in the best place, mentally, emotionally. I was a bit of a shell of my former self. And I kind of had a pattern of blowing my life up throughout my life. And my 40th birthday was approaching, and I thought, I'm really tired of being this person who kind of goes from mini explosion to mini explosion to mini explosion. I'm just going to draw a freaking line in the sand and step over it and find my own power. So the first part of saying yes was kind of turning and looking myself in the eye, warts and all, right? And being like, okay, this is who I am. And kind of ditching the shame, which is a big process in itself. But it started there. And then
Ginny, what was the line in the sand that you drew? You said, blowing up my life, blowing things up. I drew a line in the sand. What was that? What was that line? And what does it mean in your life?
Well, I guess it was stopping numbing and running away. So I'd had issues with drinking and stuff like that. My ex was an alcoholic, and it was a bit of a case of, I don't want to pass responsibility, but if you can't beat them, join them kind of thing. The holes in our marriage were much more apparent when I wasn't drinking. So I was kind of on and off the wagon for years. And it was, even though I was safer out of the marriage and everything was better out of the marriage, it was still an adjustment, especially in terms of children going away to visit him and me being left alone. So there was lots of learning to do. And I thought, I'm just not going to do this again. I'm not going to run into the arms of somebody else unsuitable. I'm not going to hit the bottle. I'm not going to do all these things. I'm not going to eat my feelings. So that was my line in the sand for sure. Just that.
Ginny, that's a lot. It's not like you were like, hey, I'm just not going to, drink. I'm not going to hit the bottle, as you said. But you also said, I'm not going to do this, and this. So how were you able just to keep saying it, just to keep your wits about you in the midst of saying, I'm not going to do all these things? Because that sounds like, especially getting out of a bad relationship, that can be a lot of pressure on yourself as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think actually maybe what sparked it was I had a bad burnout because I threw myself into work. Like I kicked him out and then I had a big launch in my business and I just was working nonstop around the clock. And then I really burnt out badly. And I was like, okay, so I didn't hit the bottle, but I just did something different. So,
but a healthier version in some ways, right?
Yeah, a healthier version for sure. And I think really, like I say, having had years of experience of being on and off the wagon, and like smoking was a big thing for me. I tried to give up so many times, and I realized that number one, you have to want to, and number two, you have to actually believe that you can. And until you believe that you can, you can't, because really what you put out there comes back to you, right?
Wow.
So it was literally just making that decision. And I think I was so freaking tired of cocking up my life. I was just so done with it. So it was, I won't say easy, but it was more straightforward to stick to. So then I just started to do small, brave things. Yeah. So like a big worry of mine was finances. I was on my own. He was a nightmare when we were together. He was addicted to gambling and it was all like just not good. So now he's out of the picture, but he's not paying child maintenance or anything like that. And I'm like, oh my God, I've got this big mortgage to pay. And I just had this, I think, inherited fear of financial institutions, banks, the tax man, stuff like that. And so I just started to be brave about like speaking to people, letting them know like, hey, I've been in this abusive relationship. I'm worried about my finances. Can you help me? Just being like mature, responsible, and like
also vulnerable in the process.
Right. Yeah. And there's so much power in that. Like for yourself. I don't mean like in a manipulative way. I mean in a...
Yeah.
And it just started to compound my confidence, because the stories that you're telling yourself in your head are always so much worse than the actual reality.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when you eliminate those stories, though, as you mentioned, you build confidence. And when you start building confidence in one area of your life, it's easy to trickle over into other areas of your life. When you start changing the stories in one area of your life, you start then saying, oh, well, maybe the story that I've been telling myself in this area is in fact not true.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Yes. And so you started doing the small little things. And so what's something else small that you did that then ultimately led to the bigger thing that we're going to talk about? Because finances is actually a really big thing that weighs heavily on a lot of people. And when you feel that, okay, finances are under control, or I have some solutions for that, that's a huge weight that gets lifted off of you.
Yeah. So another, I guess, small thing is I have a cleaning company. So I've got two businesses. That's one of them. And when I started it, I really wanted to do something kind of altruistic with it. I wanted to be like this superstar boss or something, like help the community. And it ended up being a business that mostly employs single mums who've come out of abusive relationships. And that was something that internally I felt proud of, but externally I shied away from ever sharing, because I thought that customers might think those types of people potentially could be flaky, potentially might have childcare issues, stuff like that. So I didn't share it. So another sort of smallish thing was I made the decision that I wanted to share that because it's really important to me and I'm really proud of it. So, and that, it has gone down well. And maybe people have not hired us because of it. I wouldn't know. But yeah, so I think just stopping the stereotype.
That's so important because you're also standing up for what you believe and what you value and what is important to you. And then people also latch onto that. I think oftentimes we feel when we share those things that make us vulnerable, we're scared. What are people going to think about me? Or what are they going to say? Or how are they going to respond? Or are they not going to hire me or not want to do business? Are they not going to want to hire the cleaning service? When in reality, it brings them closer because they say, oh my gosh, look at all the great things Ginny's doing in the community. Look at the people that she's helping out. Even if they're not a single parent or a single mom, maybe their sister is or their daughter is. So they say, oh my gosh, yes. That's an opportunity for so many people out there. So it starts to actually, when we're vulnerable and share those things, it really forms those connections with people and changes that story within ourselves, right? But also forms those connections. So people say, oh, well, we want to do business with Ginny because now we know what she stands for and what she believes in. So those small things lead to also much bigger things. So what's that big thing that, these small things are like little breadcrumbs, right? And I think because of those small things that you said yes to, you ultimately were able to say yes to this bigger thing.
Right. So I was scrolling Instagram and I saw a post or an ad, I don't know, for a competition to win. It sounds still so crazy to me, to win a fully paid trek to Everest Base Camp. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And then immediately the monologue starts going, don't be sorry, you'll never win that. You couldn't do it anyway. Who would look after the kids? The voice going. And I was like, do you know what? Screw you. So I entered the competition and I just felt that it was done. I was like, I'm going to win that. I am going. And I knew it. And I only found it about 2 days before the actual deadline of the competition. So I didn't have long to wait.
I love it.
I know. Anyway, I didn't win first prize, but I got a runners-up prize of money off a trip. And I thought, oh gosh, I probably can't afford it. I mean, Everest, it's going to be so expensive, right?
Right.
So I had a look and I was like, I can afford it. Okay, what about the childcare? Oh God. And then I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do it a year out. I'm going to book it. I'm going to not worry about it. And I'm going to trust and surrender to the powers that be that this is all going to iron itself out. Yeah. So I booked it. So I am going. And then I was like, well, whilst I'm saying yes to stuff, I think I'm going to do something else a step beyond. So I'm kind of infamous amongst my friends and family and even people more removed than that for wearing crocs. I wear them all the time. I live in them. I've gone out in them. I've been sledging in them. I go hiking in them. I go on holiday in them. I'm that really embarrassing person. So I get tagged in every meme. And I was like, I wonder if I could make it up there in my crocs, because that would be a funny photo. And so then I start Googling and somebody did climb Everest in their crocs, a man. And I was like, well, obviously it can be done. So I have applied to set a world record as the fastest female to get there in crocs. I have no idea if they will accept it. But
here's what I love. Oh, Ginny, here is what I love. First of all, you see this ad or promotion or whatever you see a couple days before the deadline. Instead of sitting on that wondering, should I apply for that? Oh, there's no way I'm going to get it. I mean, that voice, who do you think you are? You're never going to do it. You go ahead and apply. And, because that voice can be so strong, you're never going to win. You're not even going to be able to climb it. That's ridiculous. But what I love about that is you didn't sit on it. You immediately were like, yes, I'm going to apply. And then it was done. You won. You knew you won, right? And even though you didn't win first place, you won second place and you won this amount off. Instead of just saying, okay, well, I can't afford it. How can I afford it? I can't afford it. Okay, great. I can. And then instead of just thinking about the sitter or someone watching your kids and worrying about that, you then found a solution.
Yeah.
I'm going to book it a year from now and everything's going to work itself out. So how did you go from thinking, okay, what about my kids? Who's going to watch my kids, to getting to the point of everything's going to work itself out?
Oh, gosh, good question. I feel like, I don't want to sound really crazy, but I feel like when you are acting in alignment with like your soul's purpose, for want of a less woo-woo expression, there are no doubts. There's none of that. Like, it's so crystal clear what you have to do. And I have quite a strong kind of gut instinct, and I couldn't really tell you what it feels like, but in the moment, I know when it's directing me. And so there isn't really that much second guessing or I mean, there would be if you gave yourself the opportunity to sit there too long. But
Exactly.
Moving just feels right, you know?
Do you want to start saying yes, but you just don't know where to start? And oftentimes when we don't know where to start, we just don't start. So we created an ebook just for you. We put together 101 ways to say yes. In this ebook, ideas big and small, things that only take a small amount of time, like 1 to 2 minutes. Whether you're saying yes to yourself, in your family, relationships, or pushing yourself lovingly outside of your comfort zone with adventures, it's all made to really help you become more of your rock star self. So you can get this ebook at thesayyesexperience.com/book, BOOK. So if you want to start saying yes, or maybe you need some ideas on how to say yes because you get so caught up in being busy and doing tasks and projects or doing laundry and cooking that the time flies by and you want to spend time with your family, but you just don't know how to say yes. Those ideas just don't come to you. We put it together to make it super, super easy for you. So go to thesayyesexperience.com/book to get your copy today and start saying yes now. Are you feeling overwhelmed, stressed, or burned out? We get it. You're not alone. In fact, according to our research, 79% of the workforce is in burnout and almost half are in extreme burnout. In fact, it's the number one reason why people are leaving organizations. They're burned out. They're looking for something more. They're looking for something better. But it doesn't have to be that way. We have your solution. It's called Blaze Your Brain to Extinguish Burnout. 52 keys to prevent, break through, and eliminate burnout. You can find your copy at justcorrector.com/store. Now, this is a great tool that you can use with yourself, with your colleagues, within your organization. Everyone can get one, and you can go through one a week with them. And at the end, you can say, what was something that worked this week? What was the success you had? So you can champion and encourage each other. You can also ask what were the challenges and issues that came up, so you can mastermind and brainstorm around those to keep those from coming up in the future. So make sure you get your copy at justcorrector.com/store. All books are autographed with a personal message just for you. But you know what also is powerful about that is that we all have that gut,
Right.
and how often do we listen to it versus ignore it or brush it away or say no. I mean, even whenever I started the Say Yes experience, I had this, okay, like this is something bigger. I need to really go down this path. But I had to work it out in my head and figure out, okay, well, what does that look like? What does that mean? How could I, so I sat with it just thinking about it, but there was never a moment of, should I do that? It was always like, okay, I'm going to do this, but just how is it how is it going to look? Like, what way is it going to manifest itself, right? So as opposed to, yeah, I really like that idea or I want to do it, and then not doing anything with it.
Yeah.
But taking action and saying, okay, well, I'm going to think about it and then trying to figure it out, how it's going to work. But there's so many people out there that maybe have that gut instinct and just push it aside or push it away and not do anything with it. So I love how you were like, there was really never any second guessing, but the longer we sit in something, the more we start to second guess it, right? As opposed to you just taking immediate action.
Absolutely. And if you want, I have like a little tip exercise that I give my clients that I can share now. Take me 2 seconds.
Yeah,
so you do it with your intuition, because like you say, we have all got it. We can all do it. It's just been conditioned out of us. So it's really easy. Just set a timer for 5 minutes, sit down somewhere quiet, put your timer on, close your eyes, and just keep asking yourself, what is my yes? What is my yes? What is my yes? And just really feel into your body. And it might take you a few days before you feel anything. And then you repeat it with no's. What is my no? What is my no? And you should start to feel in your body. Like for me, yes is like I get tingles up my arms, and no is like a big constriction of my rib cage. It's like very much contracted feeling.
Get tight.
Yeah, but it can be different for everyone. But even just that simple exercise can bring your awareness. And even if you don't feel it in the moment, like just knowing, I think that you can connect to your gut like that gives you that confidence to trust.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you gave me goosebumps even when you were just talking about that exercise. Like and whenever you were saying, what is your yes? What is your yes? What is your yes? Because I think oftentimes we're not in tune with ourselves, and, we can't change something or do something that we're not even aware of in the first place.
Yeah.
So asking just that, what is my yes? What is my yes? And I thought, okay, after this, I've got to go do that, right? I've got to practice that. What is my yes? What is my yes? What is my yes? And then give yourself permission in that space and grace to get to that yes. So it may not happen, asking yourself the first time, what is my yes? And boom, here's the answer. But you keep doing it over and over in a pattern, and something will start to come up for you. Yeah, so that is super powerful. So walk us through. So when she said, okay, I'm going to book this a year out, I'm going at, and it's going to work out, or someone's going to take care of the kids. Not worried about that. It's going to work out. What made you think of or come up with the idea for the Crocs? Because I love that. And someone may be like, oh, that's interesting. What is, I'm saying yes to this. So how did you come up with that idea? Because that's so brilliant.
First off, I was going to say, I don't know, but I'm now wondering, how I was telling you this felt so propelled by my gut. Yeah. Well, I'd had this desire internally to spread awareness about internalized shame and stigma. I have a hair pulling condition, which I've had since I was 12, and it was something that I was super ashamed of all my life, never spoke about, hid, and it led me to leading, a very restricted life in my teenage years and young adulthood, because, I just didn't ever feel like I could go out anywhere because I lived in like hats and bandanas and things. And, it had a big impact on me and my self-esteem and my life. So I had this feeling kind of growing inside to share my story, to bring awareness, not necessarily to the condition, but just to shame and stigma itself. And I now wonder if this whole world record idea is actually coming from this place, because as soon as I thought of it, I thought this would be such a great PR, I can't think of the word, but like something that people will notice because it's so weird. Right? So a great thing to ride off the back of with this awareness train. So yeah, my first answer was, I don't know. My second answer is actually maybe it's coming from there.
Now, how do you connect the two? So it's coming from there, and how is that connected with the hair?
So in and of itself, it isn't.
Right.
But what I get to do if the world record attempt is accepted, then I get to drum up PR and raise money for charity and share my personal story, which in turn raises awareness.
That's really amazing. So you're doing it, but you're also doing it for a much bigger reason and a much bigger purpose.
Exactly. And like, people find it so funny that I live in these horrible shoes, but actually there is a slightly more serious side to it. I have like massive sensory issues and I struggle to wear many other types of shoes. They rub all the skin off my feet. I've got really thin skin and like I can't wear bras. I can wear bras. I feel it's like somebody putting their nails down a blackboard. So I just live in like
it was painful
bras. Yeah. And it's funny, the Crocs, but also it's like, yeah, but this is my life. And it's difficult for me to look the way normal people look, So just to be able to share all of that stuff, I think I just feel it may help people who don't have a voice,
Well, I was just going to say that, Ginny. So there's so many disorders, there's so many challenges that people live with that we literally have no idea of what they are, right? So I would never look at you and think that you have a hair pulling disorder, right? I would never know because you wear Crocs that you have sensory issues in your feet or that your skin is really thin. But these are things that people live with all the time. And you're just trying to live your best life, whatever that looks like, right? So in all transparency, Ginny, I've never owned a pair of Crocs. I've never even worn a pair of Crocs. I don't have any idea how Crocs feel, but you are a walking advertisement for Crocs. And then when you do this, like not if you do this, but when you do this and you get this record, it's going to be a huge advertisement for people to go out and buy Crocs, right? That, hey, it can be done. If this can be done, anyone can do anything in Crocs. Yes, go out and buy them. But on a more serious note, but when you think of all the challenges that you face, or even if one person faces one of those, by sharing your story, you're taking the shame out of it. And I really believe that the more we talk about issues, the more it takes that stigma out of it, the more it takes that shame out of it. So then people who are going through, whether they have the exact same thing or whether it's just something similar where they feel alone, that they say, what? Jenny's just like me. No, I don't pull my hair, but I pick my skin and she gets it. She understands, because that's what we really want most as humans, is to know that someone somewhere out there gets it, that they understand. And by you sharing that, yeah, it helps them.
Yep.
Informs that deeper connection with them. So what are you really wanting to share with people here? Like, they may never go out and say yes to Mount Everest, but what is it that you're really wanting them to get out of you sharing your Say Yes journey? And we'll have to do a follow-up, by the way, after you actually go.
100%. Yeah, we will. I mean, I think probably be kind to yourself. So what we tend to do as humans is we immediately want to be like grade A level at everything. And, saying yes to yourself, stepping into the unknown, taking bold leaps, this is like scary stuff. And it is like baby steps. It's like a muscle that you've got to build. So you're not going to go to the gym and be able to do a backflip on day one. You have to do the exercises to get there, right? So I think just, don't expect too much. Build the muscle slowly, but also follow through, even on small things. You say you're going to clean the damn kitchen. Don't do the surfaces and then give up, right? Mm-hmm. You say you're not going to have a glass of wine until Saturday. Don't have one till Saturday, because every time you don't follow through on things, you're serving yourself like this buffet of evidence that you can't be trusted, that you don't follow through, you don't show up for yourself. And your brain believes that because that's what you're showing it. So that's like my big tip, is try and show up for yourself.
That's super powerful. And even in those times that you don't want to, when you don't feel like it, I heard Mel Robbins recently say, you're never going to feel like it. and do it anyway. So you're never going to feel like doing the work, do it anyway. You may not feel like waiting until Saturday, but do it anyway, because then you also become that reliable person, the person that you know you can depend on, the person you know that you can trust when everything else falls by the wayside. You know, hey, I still got me at the end of the day. And what I also really enjoyed what you said is take those small steps, like say yes to the small things that lead up to the big things, because you're not going to go and say yes to the big thing initially. I mean, if you had not said yes to those small things and saying yes to yourself, you would have never said yes to Mount Everest. You would have never said, hey, I'm going to go and try and do this, the fastest female in Crocs, to set this record either, because that thought wouldn't have even occurred to you because you wouldn't have said yes to Everest in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so true. And it's so important. And I think, like, if you think about people you know and you think about the people in your circle that you trust the least, it's very unlikely that you know any barefaced liars or mix with any, right? The people that you don't trust are the ones who never follow through on their commitments. They never show up to the party they said they were coming to. They never pay you back for the fast food that you bought, whatever. Those people are the ones you don't trust. And if you're not careful, if you don't show up for yourself, you actually become that person to your brain.
That is really powerful. If you're careful, you'll become that person. If you're not showing up for yourself, your brain will start to believe that that's who you are. And then also, Ginny, that becomes a story that you'll keep repeating to yourself, that you are that person. So then when you try and do those small things, those small say yeses, you'll say, well, I'm not going to follow through with it anyway. So why am I bother even going to say yes in the first place?
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I can't do that. Yeah.
Yes, I can't do it. No one's going to watch the kids. So why I'm not going to even say yes in the first place. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here, Ginny. We're definitely going to have to do a follow-up after you do this, because we want to know what happens at Everest and if you get that awesome, cool record. So I can't wait to hear all about it. That's super exciting. So thank you, Ginny, for being here and for sharing all your wisdom. And I hope you take what she said, that little tip, 5 minutes just sitting down and what do I say yes to? What is yes? What is a yes? What is a yes? What is a yes? And then also, what is a no? What is a no? So you can really get in awareness with yourself and really figure out who you are. And the premise and the foundation of it all, like Ginny says, start saying yes to yourself. Start off small so you can eventually say yes to those bigger things. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Are you ready to move to your next level of rockstar greatness? CFO, Chief Fun Officer, #1 best-selling author, and keynote speaker Blaze Rector is ready to help you do that. At just 10 years old, he's already written 2 #1 best-selling books. Through the power of storytelling, he uses lessons learned and shares strategies, tips, tactics, and tools to inspire, empower, and motivate you to live a more amazing life. So if you're ready to do that in your own life, grab a copy of his #1 best-selling books at jessicarector.com/store. And when you order your copies, he will personally autograph them and write you a message on those books before shipping them out to you to really inspire and empower you in your life. These books are great for adults and kids alike. So if you're ready to move to your next level of rockstar greatness, make sure you grab your copy at jessicarector.com/store. Enjoy those amazing, empowering, transformational books. Did you know that the 2 biggest issues impacting the workforce are mental health and burnout? Well, we have your solution. The more that you feel burned out, the more it impacts your mental health. The more your mental health is impacted, the more it leads to burnout. So it's a vicious cycle that goes around and around, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can help them both if you're intentional and strategic with it. We have lots of resources for you at justcorrector.com/store. One that I want to highlight that really enhances your mental health is Tame Your Brain Game, 52 tips to turn negative thoughts into positive action. Now, research shows that 80% of your thoughts are negative. No matter how positive you feel, it's the pattern and the habit that you've developed over the course of years, over the course of decades. And that can often impact your life, how you show up, how you lead, how you communicate, how you engage, whether at work or at home. And then it also impacts a work environment. All you need is one NN or TT, negative Nancy or toxic Tim, to really impact that work environment. So if you are ready to enhance your mental health, get your copy of Tame Your Brain Game, 52 tips to turn negative thoughts into positive action today at justcorrector.com/store. All books are autographed with a personal message just for you. Thank you so much for being here. Check us out at thesayyesexperience.com. Our mission at the Say Yes Experience is to empower 10 million people to say yes. With your help in sharing our podcast, we can do that. Follow us on all social media at the Say Yes Experience and join our free community at facebook.com/groups/the Say Yes Experience. Thank you again to our guest. You can find all the contact information for our guest in the show notes. Thank you to our CFO, Chief Fun Officer, Blaze Rector, our business advisor, Lisa Verhurick, and to our team at Jessica Rector Enterprises. We look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Have an amazing day and keep being a rock star.